Hello there, and welcome to Alvarez's Diecast Customs. Now today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I got requests from one of my long-time subscribers, Vader44. He wanted to see me do one of these X-RAYcer cars and make it something that maybe a collector would be interested in. So I've picked up this Blitzspeeder. As you can see, it's a bit of an odd-looking thing. It's one of their fantasy moldings. Comes in a transparent plastic body with the metal base. Very toyish in looks, really. Pretty garish as well. So we'll just take a closer look at him. Have a look what we're dealing with. So yeah, as you can see, sort of transparent body. Lets you see some of the inside details like the engine at the front and back. Quite interesting, but yeah, certainly strange and toyish. It's got the metal base. Seems to be some casting errors on it as well. Work at getting rid of them. There's those posts, they're only made out of plastic, so just easily drill those out. So I used a 5mm drill bit and then worked down to a 2mm just to drill that out. And these are the parts split apart now. There's that window piece. Not too bad. There's the interior. Quite nicely detailed, really. Yeah, certainly like that. Try and utilise that as much as I can with the window. Don't want to cover it up too much. There's our metal base. These wheels, not too sure on those, not really feeling it. Got a smaller front set and a fatter rears. May look at sorting something out with those, getting rid of them. There's our body. As you can see, those are drilled out. Need to be very careful drilling into this plastic. It's very soft. And just very slowly just press it in. You can see a lot of flashing around the edges on this thing, so that's going to need a lot of tidying up. So we're just going to go about removing these wheels. Very simple process of just using side cutters. Just cut these little metallic teeth off that are holding them in. See those little bits of teeth just go flying around the room, never to be seen again. There's those. So I have to strip the paint on this, so I'll do that in the meantime. But for now, we need to go see our goddess, Super Pachaco, and sort out some new wheels for ourselves. Won't be needing these ones for the build. Oh, what's that? Let's take a look at them. Nice. Oh, very nice. Sort of racing style wheels. Quite futuristic in a look as well. Nice, thanks for that. So I've gone ahead and cleared the paint off of this thing with some paint stripper. This came up quite nicely. A lot of casting sort of flashing around the edges on that. There's that body piece, just went over that with a standard grey primer from Halfords out of a rattle can. As you can see, there's a lot of casting lines on that. Need to work those off. Window piece, didn't touch that. There's those nice new wheels we got to work with. So first off, I'm just going to test fit everything. Make sure it all goes together and just see where I'm going to go with this. Give me a general idea of what I want to do. Yeah, those wheels definitely look quite smart with that. I'm thinking on the wheels here, the front ones are fine, but the rear ones, because they originally had larger wheels in there, the wheel arch is quite wide and there's a bit of a gap. So we're going to have to go about filling that in. But for the time being, I'm just going to clear up this body with all the flashing on it. Just going to be using my usual diamond files. I use the half moon shape, which has a flat side and a curved side. It's quite handy for getting in some of the curves on this body here. As it is, just slowly work at it, not pressing too hard because the plastic is quite soft, as I mentioned. press too hard, you just take huge gouges out of it and just do more damage than you are doing good. So yeah, just slowly working around the body here. It's really smoothing it out. And there we go, that's after a bit of cleaning up all those molding lines. It's quite nice to work with plastic now and then, really, on the bodies. It seems to offer a bit more freedom in other ways. So in order to fill these arches up a bit more, I've got this strip of plastic card. And all I'm simply going to do is just glue the strip of it into there. So just using a toothpick to dab on some gel super glue. I like the gel stuff. It doesn't run so much. It's much easier to work with. Stays put wherever you put it as well. It doesn't run all over the place and bleed. So as you can see, I'm just pressing that into there. Once it's set reasonably hard, I just clip off the excess and then go about doing the same on the other side. And there it is. I'm going to have to go about filing that down and smoothing it down to the standard body shape so you won't notice it's there at all. And on the chassis, just going to go about cleaning this up as well. Some flashing around the bottom, rough edges to it. Just really tidy this up. Same again, using that diamond file. These are all sort of things it's easy to overlook when you're doing these customs and things, but it does make a big difference for the end result if you really go about cleaning up the standard molding. And there it is, that's all tidied up, nicely sharpened up edges, cleaned it up around the front, sharpened those up. Yep, all good. And there's that body piece. I've gone about cutting those side pieces down that I glued on, blended them into the body. Once they're painted, you won't even know that's there. Just test fit everything again. I would always do multiple test fits throughout the build just to make sure everything's fitting where it needs to be. As you can see, those wheel arches are nicely filled out now. Exactly what I'm after. Right, we'll get this onto priming. So I'll go over that with a good coat of primer on the base and the body and the interior. Just gives me a good sort of base to work from with my brush paints. Yeah, that's right, you heard me. I'm going to be brush painting this whole thing. No super clean sort of spray can painting like I usually do on some of my models. It's going to be a down and dirty sort of futuristic race car I want to go with. What I actually did was take a bit of inspiration from an old 90s video game called Wipeout, which was on the Sega Saturn and the PlayStation. It was a sort of futuristic racing game with flying ships that used to drive. And I just like the designs on them. They're sort of like worn, sort of futuristic looking ships. So I've just, as you can see, just gone about masking off the body. Just doing a sort of a quick sort of design on it. I'll be painting that in with some Revell red paint. Using my usual Tamiya masking tape. It's never let me down, this stuff. Always gives you really tidy lines to it. As you saw previously, I was just pressing the masking tape into some of the edges using a toothpick. You can just go about removing the tape. The paint is still wet while I'm doing this. As you can see, it's very clean edges to that. Just what I'm after. Just go about detailing some more areas on it using some Revell aluminium paint. Again, just slapping it all on there. That primer gives a really good base to paint onto. You really only need one coat of the paint, which is really nice. I also just did the floor pan on that as well inside, because you can see that through the window. Did that in aluminium and just painted up some of that interior piece using that aluminium paint too. Also be painting sort of these rear engine scoops. I don't know what they are. Just make up your mind and whatever it is. And the seats as well in some matte black. And on the window piece, I'm actually going to be painting on some of the roof. So I masked that off and then slapped some of that aluminium paint on it again. And in order to bring out some extra details on this, I'm actually just going to be using a standard pencil. Just drawing on some of the body lines and door lines and things like that. Just add some extra dimension to it. Doesn't look so flat then. Just be going around the entire body doing some extra details like that. You can see what I'm going with there. There it is, I've did some extra bits there. Tried to do sort of extra panels and rivets and things in some areas on it. I didn't want to go over the top because it just looked messy, but just some extra details to it. In order to bring out some more shading on it, I'm just going to be using this Citadel Known Oil. It's literally just a black wash. So I'll just be applying it in certain areas. You can see sort of following the lines that I've made with that pencil and using a clean dry brush and dragging it upwards. Sort of gives a bit of a shade to it. Makes the thing look used, not like shop floor or showroom brand new looking. It's actually a race car that's been used. Just do some extra details there with the known oil on the chassis. You can see I painted that sort of front scoop as well in silver and then extra bit of black around it as well. Now on the body, I've using this Tamiya Weathering Master, using the darker one and the rust shade. As you can see, I've gone over some areas, just picking out some extra details. As I said, I really want this to look like a sort of worn, used racer. So it's not going to be clean, it's going to have a lot of filth and dirt up the sides of it. Sort of grime and muck. So really focusing on the areas this may build up around the wheels and sort of around the front areas. There's our window piece. I went over that with the known oil before it dried off with the silver as well. We can go around removing that. I tried to leave a clear line down the center of it as well because you can see some of the interior through that. It's a shame to cover up all of that interior, so I didn't do it. So we can get on about building this thing back up now. I went over everything with a clear matte coat straight out of a spray can just to seal everything in. As you can see, I just put my signature of my channel on the bottom of that one. There's some extra details on the interior there. Literally just use some Tamiya clear green and red just to pick out some extra details on the interior. Also just went over with some known oil just to blend everything in. There's our wheels, gave those a blasting off the matte coat, then known oil, and then a bit of weathering dust over the top as well, just to make those look a bit worn. Go on about putting this thing together now. So, before I reveal it, let's take a look at what we started with. As it was a very toyish looking Hot Wheels Blitzspeeder. That transparent body. Not really something a collector would keep their eye on, really, is it? It's not something I would keep on my shelf as it is. So let's take a look at what I've done with it. And there you go. That's my sort of interpretation on a futuristic race car. Hopefully I fulfilled the challenge there, Vader 44. Is this something you'd have on your shelf? I hope so. I certainly have. Been very fun doing this one. I also at the time brought a 5-pack of these X-RAYcers, so there may be another one of these builds coming up on a future episode. Let's just take a closer look at it here. Yeah, I do like how the extra bits of weathering and even just the pencil lines just bring out a bit of depth to everything there. Stops it looking so plain. Going over the matte coat is a really good finish. Wasn't really wanting to go with a glossy coat on this one. I thought a matte one would look a lot better for it. It's come out very nice in my opinion. And there's those extra details on the interior. As I said, I tried to keep some of the window quite open so you can see that easily. So, another great one to add to the collection. I'll just show you some more photos I took with it without the high intensity light that's above me on the desk when I look at it. Gives it a bit of a more realistic look to it with these photos. So we'll return to our goddess Super Pochaco and see what she's got for us next time. Wait, hang on. Let's have a look at that. Nice. Ah, that's the Ford Mustang I did on my first ever video. Huh. I remember having some issues with the paint on this. It looks like bloody orange peel. Let's see if we can do something better with that one. Let's try and go with the best paint job I can do, eh? Yeah, definitely up for that. Thanks for that. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. Let me know down in the comments what you think of it, or even if you've got some suggestions of what I could do in the future. Thanks a lot, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.